Alright, so welcome to part 4, and this is after I have my flats laid down, then I start to add in the shading and stuff. I'll start with the flower. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select just that orange color by turning off the lines, and then I'm going to go to select, color range, grab that orange color, OK, hit Control H to hide my selection but it's still there, turn my lines back on, and I'm going to start shading. I usually do this with the airbrush, and I just kind of pull where I know the shading is going to be, like so. And I might also do more of, instead of shading, I might do, or that kind of shading, I might go in and do, oops, okay, I forgot to do that on a separate layer, so I need to start over. And instead of airbrush, what I might end up doing is, I need to make a layer on top of that. Right, so instead of airbrush, what I might do also is hard line work, like more of a cartoon-like shading where you come in and just make a hard line and then fill that in. That looks pretty cool too. And then you can always feather that out if you want to with airbrush. So I think I'll do it that way. And I decided my light source. Pretty much when I do tattoos, designs, or my light source is usually always coming from this direction. What? Oh, that's right. It has this direction like that. I still have that thing on. If I can only draw within that area. So I'm just using the regular red here now, and I'm just going to kind of put the lines in like this. And come like this. This way I can use my trick. Oh, that's right, I can't use my trick when I have that on. Make sure it's still on, okay. I'll just use a slightly bigger brush then. Make sure I'm using my ink brush. And then fill that in. So as I do this, I just think about, you know, the light work, not light work, the light direction and everything. So I know the light is kind of coming from over here, so that it's gonna, most of that's gonna be in shadow. Some of that's gonna be in shadow, and the light's gonna hit across here, and then most all this down here is gonna be in shadow, and pretty much all the backside would pretty much be in shadow. I'm gonna have a little bit of bounce light come up and give some light to this top part. I can also do whip shading if I wanted to with the size 3, and then have, it's my pencil brush basically. You just lightly pull it like this. And if you're wondering what the brush is set to, it's set to pen pressure and size, or excuse me, size and opacity are set to pen pressure, and then the little box for noise is checked right there. Now it's called transfer, and then that's set to pen pressure there, and shape dynamics pen pressure. That's it. It's size 3, really easy brush to make. And you could just kind of whip it out. I'm only going in one direction. I'm only touching the tablet when I'm pulling, or if I was doing paper, when I'm pulling in that direction only. So from here to here, that's what I'm touching. Otherwise, I'm not touching. I'm not touching on the way back. So you can add whip shading like that if you want it to look more like a tattoo. You can also grab the, soft airbrush, and you can just kind of pull it out like that. So you have a little bit of, just a little bit of shading like that if you wanted to do that. Next, I'm going to add the shape of the shadows on the top part. Something like that. And I'm going to kind of just pull it across like here, and then I can pull up with some shading there. When I think about it, I'm not even sure if I want this much shading within the flower. That is that much red within the flower. I then take the airbrush again, and I'm just going to pull out the same way I was whip shading, but now I'm doing it with the airbrush. Just kind of pulling out with it. I can fill in those parts afterwards because sometimes they get messed up like that. Right, so something like that. Then you can kind of, really get rid of those lines if you wanted to, but it's no need. It's not necessary. And then I take the orange. I can kind of just want to kind of blend some parts of this orange back into the flower. So this is the last process of adding some more, because I thought it looked a little too red, so that should be all one stroke there. Right, so that's looking pretty cool. And then I'll probably take like white or yellow and add just, some highlights here. And if you want for this design part, you don't have to use, you can use that size 3 brush and just kind of, it's really time consuming, but you can almost act like you're tattooing the highlights in there. And then just kind of, like that. So that adds some texture if you wanted that there. But I'm not going to do that. Notice I did that on these leaves over here, with the highlights and stuff. And if you want, you can add a final white and just touch it here and there, just for, and you would leave these parts a little bit blank when you're doing the tattoo. Or even add them in first, and that way you can avoid it when you're coloring around it. Just, a few little parts here and there. You can add some white highlights, just so it looks cool. Adds a little more depth to everything. And then I might even, no, I think I like that. I don't think I'd add any dark. I was thinking maybe a little bit of black way down in there just to kind of feather it up. So you might want to, finally, when you have all this all done, and of course I'll be going, I'm gonna go over the, I have to make a layer now above the line work, because when you're tattooing, this is how it would work anyway. You might just add a little bit of whip shading with a gray wash, which is just black, like this, like this. You'd maybe 25% or so, so you can just drop like 3 drops of black into the container, the little thimble things, and then you can add to fill the rest of it, just 3 drops of black, and then fill the rest of it with water or witch and hazel. So just adding a couple little, just a little bit of shading. You'd use a line shader or a Magnum. I think I prefer Magnums, but yeah. And this is just to add overall depth. You don't have to use black for this either. You can use like a add purple mixed with a little bit of black with your colors, into a little thing. And you can use that for the darkest shadows. And so I know that there'd be like a shadow cast here, for example, and so you just shade all that in with that color, or you can even color it in solid. Just so in this case I wouldn't be whip shading anymore, I'd just be solid color there. And I'm not sure if that's dark enough. If it's not dark enough, I would just add more black to it. But no, I think that's dark enough. This would be for the darkest shadows where absolutely no light would fall. And I'm going to go back to here if I can. This should be above my line work, so how come not? Oh, that's right. I still have that thing on. I need to turn that off now. So I'm just adding a little bit of shading in here like this. And this is just to add some more contrast to the flower. Contrast is really what makes drawings pop, so you really want to have a lot of it. So just little parts here and there where I know I really want to show some more separation in the work, I just go over some of my red lines. And as long as your lines weren't too deep, the skin's not too irritated at that point anyway. So it should be fine to go over them. Just a little bit of shading. Because the shading, you're just barely touching the skin. You're just going over it a little bit. And I think I want all this right here. Just a little bit of shading. And just kind of whip it out. A bit of whip shading in there. And just see that little bit, can really, I don't want that to be a hard line, so I would actually fade it out. And I would do that with a Magnum and just keep adding water or witch and hazel to the toot, or the little bucket thing where you put things in, little cap. And just keep doing that and then pulling it out till it gets lighter and lighter, till there's hardly any ink in there at all. So something like that. And you have to just go and think about your light source and find all those parts where the darkest darks would be. Notice this stage wasn't necessary. You don't have to add this final bit of touch to it, but I think it looks cooler if you do. Just a little bit of shading here and there just kind of makes certain things pop. Right, and that's the flower part. Now remember I said this right here was going to go from red to blue, and it's like red, purple, blue. So I have this color that's not anywhere in the tattoo, that way I can easily isolate it. So first thing I do is I get rid of the line work, select, color range. That way I can just have that part selected. And then I'm going to hit Control H to hide the marquee. And this way when I color, it's just going to be it's just going to color within there. And I'm going to do this an easy way. I'm just going to kind of fill that in with red first, and then kind of a purple color, which will be somewhere in the middle. So it's all kind of just like blending down. Maybe more red there, maybe more of a purple. And actually, the purple should start. Then red to blue. No. Let's go with this kind of purple then. True purple. And then red way up here. I need like red. Dark red. No. Maybe that red will work. Okay. I don't know if it should be red right there though. Whatever. And the blue on the tips. Kind of fading in. Turn this way down. Then go back to that purple. Kind of just fade the parts before the blue. And then let's take this blue right here as well. Get that red back. Kind of just fade out in each strand there. And then maybe finally a little bit of orange. That looks pretty cool. And then what I would do is probably add some white highlights. What I make sure to do when you want to make sure that you leave a little bit of no color there, so you can add these highlights in when you're actually doing the tattoo. I'm getting close to running out of time. And you could try to go over the ink that you kind of laid down, but it's better to try to leave a little bit of blank skin there so you can add in the highlight. Or even throw the highlights in first and then just kind of, when you're coloring, avoid that part. So see, I'm thinking that looks pretty cool. I like that. So I'll go ahead and do the same here. Get the airbrush, make it kind of small. Start with the red. Pull the red up. Go to that kind of purplish color. Pull the purple. Get that blue, and pull in the blue, and voila, add just a little bit of yellow there. Get the white, just about out of time. like so. So you can see the tattoo is starting to come out looking pretty cool. To isolate that flower some more, save often. To isolate that flower more, I might add even darker lines, you know, on part of it here, so that it just really isolates the flower more. There's more contrast there. Butterfly shadow is going to come down into the flower and stuff like that. Thank you for watching. Again, help me out so we can help more people out by rating, leaving a comment, subscribing, because that'll get the word out. It helps the YouTube channel get more views and more people visit it, which means more people learn about the site. And the more people learn about it, the more people that ultimately, you know, find cool tutorials. Thank you.